An OTG or an oven toaster griller is a common choice for baking in India. In this video, how to use an OTG, how to preheat an OTG, the bakeware you could use and more. Most OTGs have similar features, but please do read your manual for instructions. Please do take this video as a general guide. With usage, you'll figure out what works best for you in your oven. This is my Morphy Richards OTG, 40 liters in capacity. You could also check Bajaj and Sunflame. Let's take a look at the accessories which come with the OTG. This wire rack is for baking and for toasting. You could keep your baking tray on this wire rack. And this is the non-stick baking tray which comes with your OTG. You could use this for baking breads and for pizza. I'm not sure how well it would work for baking cookies. This is the removable crumb tray. It will help keep the floor of the oven clean. And this is the rotisserie rod, which is mostly used for cooking meat. And this to pull out your baking tray, but I prefer to use thick cotton towels for better grip. And you also get separate rotisserie tongs. Now let's take a look at the oven. OTGs have these heating elements at the bottom and at the top. You could turn on one or both of them simultaneously, and then there is a fan if your oven has convection mode, and then there's a light which lights up the chamber. And then there are these grooves which run along the entire walls so that your tray can slide in and out easily. You can place your baking tray or the wire rack on one of these grooves depending on your need and what works best for you. Ovens with less capacity normally do not come with the fan and the light, and there are fewer grooves. And OTGs have these three knobs, one for setting the temperature, then there is this for setting the function, and then this one for the timer. This is the temperature knob. The maximum temperature in the OTG is 250 degrees centigrade. And to set the temperature, you would have to take a rough estimate and then set the knob approximately. Often the temperature inside the oven and the temperature you set might vary, and this can be tricky. So it is highly recommended that you use an oven thermometer for setting the temperature. This is the function knob. This will help you set the mode on which you want to bake according to your need and what works best for you. When you turn the knob to the grill function, only the top element heats up, and when you turn it to convection, both the bottom and the top elements heat up with the fan on. And then we have this toast function with both the bottom and the top elements on, but there won't be fan. And then we have this bake function where the bottom element heats up. And then this is the rotisserie function with the top element heating up and the rotisserie turning constantly. I wish my oven had a function where I could switch on the convection mode with just the bottom element on, but that function is not available in my oven. I prefer to bake with just the bottom element on and the rack in the second groove. You could also try baking on convection mode, but it can be tricky at times. If you bake with just the bottom element on and you want your bread or your cake to look a little darker, then you could just place it on the rack and then turn on the top heating element just for a minute or two for a darker color. Baking simultaneously on two levels may not always work, but if your oven is large enough, you could try placing two tins side by side. Just make sure there is enough space between the two tins and the walls of the oven. I know this sounds confusing, but you would need to experiment with your oven and stick to what works best for you. And then there is this timer knob. You could set the timer to a maximum of 90 minutes. And in case you do want to keep the oven on for longer, then you could just turn it on stay on mode, which will help your oven to stay on till you turn it off manually. And to keep the timer on stay on mode, you need to turn this knob anti-clockwise. For bakeware, you could use either ceramic, oven safe glassware, aluminum, or even silicone. I prefer to use aluminum. Be sure the baking tray you are using is not too big for your oven. Once you keep it inside the oven, there should be enough space around the tin, and you should be able to close the door fully. Even if the door is slightly open, the heat will keep escaping and your cake or your cookies may not bake properly. Whenever we bake anything, we need to make sure that the oven is at the temperature specified in the recipe even before the cake or the cookie batter goes inside the oven. This is called as preheating. So let's see how to preheat an OTG. Preheating normally takes about 10 to 15 minutes in OTGs, and when you bake anything, you need to make sure that the oven is preheated and ready even before your cake or your cookie batter is ready. It's better to keep the preheated oven waiting for the batter rather than the other way around, because once the cake or cookie batter is mixed, it needs to go into the oven immediately. But please do follow recipe instructions always. When you preheat the OTG, we need to first keep the rack inside the oven. I'm going to be placing it at the second level here. If possible in your oven, please follow the instructions for the position of the rack recommended in the recipe. So I'm going to be keeping my oven thermometer here, and this needs to be at the level and the position where you would be keeping your cake tin or your cookie tray. And once the oven thermometer is placed inside the oven, we close the door. Make sure it's closed fully. We do not want the heat to escape from the oven. And then we set the function. I'm going to be setting it to bake with just the bottom element on, and the temperature to about 180 degrees centigrade, which is approximately around here in my oven. Once you set the function and the temperature knob, you need to turn on the timer. This is really important, otherwise your oven will not start preheating. So you'll need to set it, say, about 30 minutes. As you use the oven, you will get a rough idea about how long your oven will take to preheat, and depending on that, you can start preparing the batter. Avoid opening the door repeatedly in between, as the heat will escape and your oven may take longer to preheat. The first recipe you could safely try here could be a granola. You can find the video for making granola here. If your oven has an indicator light, then it will keep going on and off just like our iron box. Once the oven is preheated and your batter is ready, we'll quickly open the door. Make sure the temperature is right on the oven thermometer, and then quickly take it out. And then place your cake or cookie batter inside the oven. And now, depending on your recipe, we'll set the timer again. Say it's for 30 minutes. Do check the cake or your cookies 5 minutes earlier than stated in the recipe, because the timing in each oven may vary. After 25 minutes, we open the door and we check if the cake is done. This is an imaginary cake, of course. Keep the oven on, keep the door closed, check if the cake is done, and in case it needs to cook longer, then you just put it back for about 5 more minutes and then bake it. And at the end of the baking time you have set, you will hear the bell. And if the cake is done, please take it out immediately. Do not leave it inside the oven. Cookie recipes often instruct you to rotate the trays halfway in between. Say your baking time for your cookies is about 16 minutes. It means that you would need to open the oven at around 8 minutes, that is the halfway mark, and then you remove this tray, turn it around, and then put it back in. This is to ensure that your cookies bake evenly. And your oven may sometimes have hot spots. More about that in another video. All ovens tend to lose their calibration over time, so it is a good idea to have it calibrated now and then. One way Rose Baranbaum suggests to check if your oven is heating up properly is to bake her all-occasion downy cake. And if your oven is heating properly, the cake will bake in the time specified in the recipe. Each oven works differently, though it's the same brand and same model, so it will take you some time to learn how your oven works and what works best for you. This video is just to give you an idea. Please stick to what works best for you in your oven. I hope you found this video useful. Please do share this video. Do leave your comments for me.